Hey everyone, welcome to another YouTube painting process video. This time around I'll be showing you my video process for Resident Evil 9 or Resident Evil Requiem, Leon Kennedy and Grace Ashcroft from that game. As well, I'll be talking and discussing a topic as usual. Given that I am showing you a time lapse of Resident Evil, it's appropriate for me to describe the one major horror when it comes to drawing and painting. And it's not going to be something that you might suspect. The common knowledge is that the greatest fear is the artist block, where you have no ideas moving forward. And of course, I've mentioned this in previous videos where the worst thing you can have is a blank canvas. So to reiterate and to summarize what I've said before and my advice, get references, get any brush strokes or pencil strokes on the white space as soon as possible so that you aren't just staring at a blank void. Any bit of work is going to lead and chain into more and more ideas, and that will aid you in breaking the artist's block, at least for myself. Now, having been more experienced in doing professional work, the real horror now for me is not that. It's actually having too many ideas. This sounds really weird, but I think anybody who has done professional work will probably get what I mean by that. Picture this, and you might or might not be in this position, but just imagine. You're at the point where you are capable of drawing anything you can conceivably want in a technical manner. And yes, you will reach that point. I'm not saying you're going to be the Rembrandt of every single subject matter, but you're going to be able to have the art fundamentals to be able to draw whatever you really need to think of, at least with references as well. So if I want to draw a car, give me enough time, give me enough references, I'll be able to draw at least some sort of a competent looking car. It might not be as good as a car specialist, but you get my point. You'll be able to break down the geometric shapes enough so that it's convincing for whatever you're doing. Now, this gets to the problem when you're trying to find your style and what you like to do. Because you're going to wield this power and you're going to have so many different options that you can do. And for myself, this is something that, especially early on, is a power that's very hard to control. Because once you start getting the art fundamentals, you feel like the world is your oyster. You're able to draw out your entire imagination. Everything that growing up you wanted to draw, you can now do it in a competent way that other people will be able to interpret and enjoy. And I find that a lot of artists, especially reaching that point, they're going to start just drawing so many different things, all sorts of different styles, all sorts of subject matter. It's like you just learned how to fly and you're just going all around the world because you can. And it's actually pretty beautiful in that regard. But given that, it is very overwhelming because ultimately you're going to have cases where you just have so many things you want to do that you actually do the opposite. You do nothing. You paralyze yourself from too many choices. Now, the extreme case is what I said. You're going to juggle between, when I want to do environments, I just want to draw people, I want to draw cars, all sorts of things. That's a little bit extreme, but the more nuanced version of this is when you're just sitting around and you're wondering what you should commit your time to. This is especially true as you are, of course, getting better and getting more professional. You want to make your time worthwhile, and you will start to have a grasp of what is worth committing your time to, which ideas are good and which ideas aren't. But given that, you're almost always going to have a bunch of good ideas that you believe you will be able to commit to. And knowing where to start and where to end is going to be actually tougher than you'll think. You're going to eventually build up a mental library of so many different things. You're going to build up an actual library of files of references and photos that you want to draw. You're going to have a lot of fan art that you want to draw. You just played this new game that you really love and you want to celebrate it, and there's a convention next month, that sort of thing. And it becomes a logistical nightmare in your own head once you get to that point. It's why when you reach a professional level, dealing with the logistics and scheduling is just as important as your actual skills. You have to start knowing how to prioritize what you want to do, so you don't just feel like you're overwhelmed with every single angle. So to give an example of how I deal with it, these paintings of fan art are usually stuff I do as warm-up before I do other work. You may have noticed that a lot of these take 1 to 2 hours at most, and a lot of times it's because they're just meant to warm my hands up. Like I said before, I use fan art as a way to practice my skills. I don't have to think about the designs, I just want to just compose it, make something presentable, and if it doesn't work out, there's no pressure, right? Churn these out and work on other things afterwards. So no matter what, I allocate this sort of practice in my daily workload. And for the rest of the time afterwards, I just work on more important things. So commissions, professional contracts, and of course my own comic and that sort of thing. It is vital for you to figure out how you like to work and what works for you, and schedule accordingly. I know artists are known for their chaos, and it's always a good thing to be creative and not so rigid, but it is going to help you if you have some sort of rigidity to your scheduling. So you don't get to fall into the trap of having too many equally prioritized work that will just overwhelm you. It's important when you have this power you're wielding that you start knowing when to use the power and what is more important at any given time. Again, anything that will get you to draw is a good thing. So, at least in my opinion, the lack of inspiration isn't the issue, is having more inspiration that can be a horrific situation. Not knowing what to draw first is actually going to be a problem. Of course, if you're working at a studio, you're probably going to be told what to do anyways, so that'll give you a rigid scheduling regardless. But if you're a freelancer like I am, doing personal work especially, you're going to fall into this type of trap more often than you think, even though it sounds weird. I would imagine most people would tell you that their problem is not having ideas. But when you get to a certain point, it's going to be too many ideas that become a problem. And you're going to have to start cutting ideas or deprioritizing them just because you have no other choice. There's only so many hours of the day that we have, and as I get older, my energy levels aren't what they used to be, so you're gonna have to do your due diligence when it comes to managing your time. Anyways, thank you for watching. Here is the final piece of Resident Evil Requiem, Leon Kennedy and Grace Ashcroft. Thank you for watching. As usual, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Any bit of help is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.